I've been telling you for months that there's a real problem with the Women's March, and that the problem is outrageous, extreme views, including anti Semitism, including anti LGBT individuals being spoken of favorably by the ranks of the leaders of the Women's March. Hateful rhetoric, racist rhetoric, anti Semitic rhetoric that is quite frankly not that different from what many of the participants in the women's marches claim to be fighting against. And I have really good news for you today. Teresa Shook is a co-founder of the Women's March. She's calling for the problematic leaders of the Women's March to step down, and I support her 110%. Let me remind you before we get to Teresa Shook's statement. One co-chair, Tamika Mallory, is a big fan of notorious anti-Semite, and by the way, a guy who also seems to like Trump, Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. Disgusting, vile guy. Tamika Mallory, leader of the Women's March, has called him the greatest of all time. Linda Sarsour, another co-chair, also a fan of Louis Farrakhan. Her anti-Israel activism crosses the line way beyond just being an advocate for Palestinian rights into straight up anti-Israeli and potentially anti-Semitic activism. Now, I'm not calling her an anti-Semite. What I'm telling you is that her rhetoric and actions are anti-Semitic and are kowtowing to anti-Semitic beliefs and conspiracies. She has praised the Muslim Brotherhood, which is a radical group. She has praised Sharia law, which literally mandates women be second-class citizens and is completely anti-LGBT. That's not very women's marchy. That's not very progressive. She said months ago that American Muslims shouldn't humanize Israelis. They are human, right? If anyone on the left said the same thing about Muslims shouldn't be humanized, she'd be outraged, and so would I, by the way. Sarsour has promoted the anti-Semitic conspiracy that Jews can't be loyal because of their, quote, allegiance to Israel. That's a standard she would find outrageous if someone said, imagine, for example, Muslim immigrants from Qatar can't be loyal here because they have an allegiance to the rich Qataris who are funding terrorist group Hamas. She would be outraged, rightly so, and yet she says something similar about a different group. These are really some of the worst people to be leading a supposed leftist civil rights and human rights group. And now I am pleased to tell you that the Women's March co-founder, Teresa Shook, is calling for them to step down. She posted to her Facebook page a few days ago, Bob Bland, Tamika Mallory, Linda Sarsour, and Carmen Perez of Women's March Incorporated have steered the movement away from its true course. I have waited, hoping they would right the ship, but they have not. In opposition to our unity principles, they have allowed anti-Semitism, anti-LGBTQIA sentiment, and hateful, racist rhetoric to become a part of the platform by their refusal to separate themselves from groups that espouse these racist, hateful beliefs. I call for the current co-chairs to step down and to let others lead who can restore faith in the movement and its original intent. I stand in solidarity with all the sister march organizations to bring the movement back to its authentic purpose. As Women's March founder, I am stepping up to bring focus back to the unity principles on which our movement began. And with the support of all those who marched and have continued to march, I pledge to support grassroots, decentralized leadership promoting a safe worldwide community devoid of hate speech, bigotry, and racism. I couldn't say it better myself. Hate speech, bigotry, and racism have pervaded the leadership of the Women's March, and Teresa Shook is getting some praise for this, but she's also being slammed by people who are unwilling to see the problems that exist within the leadership of the Women's March. This is no group that I want anything to do with for as long as people like this are involved. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-LGBT. I'm not anti-woman. So how can I in good conscience, how can I in good faith, how can I look at the facts and say, I approve of the leadership of the Women's March? I can think of no more anti-progressive action than that. And it's Teresa Shook is getting crushed by a lot of people. She's getting attacked for this post. She's saying things that I've been saying for months, if not closer to years at this point, and I think it's absolutely great. This is a movement that at least claims to want the right things, which is good, but it's allowed ties to hate speakers and racists and homophobic movements and systems of law to become in some way accepted. And I hope that more people will do what Teresa Shook is doing and demand that these individuals be pushed to step down and relinquish involvement with the Women's March. And when they do, I will be the first one out there saying, now this is a movement that I can get behind. One of today's sponsors is privacy.com/Pakman. This is a free service that I've actually been using myself for a while now, and I love it. You just take a few seconds to link your debit card or bank account to privacy.com's mobile app or browser extension for Firefox and Chrome. And what that does is allow you to instantly create virtual credit cards that are linked to your bank account so that you're not actually putting your real debit card number on the internet. And you use these virtual credit card numbers to buy things online. And with one click of a button, you have the ability to create multiple virtual cards, delete cards, freeze and unfreeze cards. You can put a limit on a card so a company won't be able to charge you more than you actually want them to. And it protects you from being hacked. It protects you from companies being hacked, which we've been talking about for a while on the program. And it's perfect for signing up for free trials somewhere if you don't want your real credit card number to be exposed and on file. And their app and browser extension let you autofill the virtual credit card number into the credit card field when you're buying things online. There are a ton of different advantages to shopping and paying bills with a system like this. Everything is totally secure and encrypted. And in some situations, you can earn 5% cash back on your purchases. It's all completely free. All you have to do is click the link under this video to get started. And for a limited time, everybody in our audience who signs up gets $5 towards your first purchase when you sign up using that link below.